In the late summer of AD 79, one of the most catastrophic volcanic eruptions in recorded history devastated the Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. The only surviving eyewitness account comes from none other than Pliny the Younger, a Roman author and administrator, who later wrote to the historian Tacitus, recounting the tragic final moments of his uncle, Pliny the Elder. His letter, written around AD 106 or 107, is a vivid and harrowing description of both heroism and horror. This is his story. Pliny the Elder, Pliny the Younger's uncle, was not just a scholar but also an admiral of the Roman fleet stationed at Misenum, across the Bay of Naples from Vesuvius. On the day of the eruption, a vast cloud, resembling a pine tree in shape, rose high into the sky. Pliny the Younger, his mother and uncle were all together when they noticed something unusual. He describes the moment in his letter to Tacitus. On the 24th of August, about the 7th hour, my mother drew my uncle's attention to the fact that a cloud of unusual size and shape had made its appearance. My uncle had been out in the sun, followed by a cold bath, and after a light meal he was lying down reading. Yet he called for his sandals and climbed up to a spot from which he could command a good view of the curious phenomenon. In likeness and in form it closely resembled a pine tree than anything else, for what corresponded to the trunk was of great length and height, and then spread out into a number of branches. As the eruption intensified, the elder Pliny saw this as an opportunity for study. He thought it was of great importance and wanted a closer look. He ordered a Liburnian galley to be ready, a Roman ship, to take a closer look and asked his nephew if he would like to join him. Pliny the Younger said that he would prefer to continue with his studies, but then an urgent message arrived, a plea for help from Rectina, the wife of Tacitus, whose villa was on the shoreline near Herculaneum. At once, curiosity gave way to duty, and he launched the boats and went on board himself, hoping to help Rectina and many other people living along the shoreline. As they neared the coast, where others were desperately fleeing, Pliny the Elder carefully observed his surroundings and asked his secretary to record every change that they saw. Ashes were beginning to fall upon the ships, hotter and thicker as they grew closer, with pumice stones and burning cinders raining down on them. The ships soon couldn't get any closer, and the letter describes this moment. The helmsman warned him to turn back, but my uncle exclaimed, "Fortune favours the brave, try to reach Pomponianus." Arriving at the villa of his friend in Stabiae, approximately 3 miles from Pompeii, Pliny tried to calm those around him by carrying on as normal, even as earthquakes shook the ground and the ash grew thicker. He dined, bathed, and had a sleep. Then, in the early hours, disaster struck. The ash cloud thickened, and Pliny explained what happened next. The courtyard leading to the room he occupied was so full of ashes and pumice stones mingled together, and covered to such a depth that if he had delayed any longer in the bedchamber there would have been no means of escape. So, my uncle was aroused, and came out and joined Pomponianus and the rest who had been keeping watch. They held a consultation whether they should remain indoors or wander forth in the open, for the buildings were beginning to shake with the repeated and intensely severe shocks of earthquake. They placed pillows on their heads and secured them with cloths as a precaution against the falling bodies. As Pliny and his companions attempted to escape, the toxic fumes overwhelmed him. Exhausted, he lay down on a sheet and asked for some water. 2 slaves attempted to help Pliny to his feet, but he collapsed immediately. His lungs could take no more. The gases and ash from the volcano had overcome him. Unable to carry his body, the companions were forced to leave him behind, and later informed his family of his fate. When they returned 2 days after the eruption, they found him just as he had fallen. Pliny the Younger later wrote, "His body was found untouched, uninjured and covered, dressed just as he had been in life. The corpse suggested a person asleep rather than a dead man." Pliny the Younger, just 17 years old at the time, remained in Misenum, watching the horror unfold. Many years later, when Tacitus requested an account of the disaster, he wrote 2 letters, one recounting his uncle's final moments and another describing his own experiences with his mother. These letters remain the most detailed accounts of the Vesuvius eruption, offering us a glimpse into the final moments of one of Rome's greatest scholars. Through his nephew's words, Pliny the Elder's story lives on forever. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient history, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching. See you next time.